Need a hose?
I'm all right now.
There's strawberry. I think. Coolberry. No, that's Tina. Are the doors locked, Tina? Thank you. Oh, I should have given you my trash. Thank you.
They have a Christmas fire up there. I know. I play that. I put that on when I'm playing Christmas music at home. But Dave has decided to Roku everything.
Roku. So,
I hate Roku.
Charlie, you'll appreciate this too. Have you guys heard Josh Turner's new album?
Josh.
Josh Turner, his new album. Oh my gosh. I shared it on my Facebook.
Josh Turner. How would I know him? Is he country or?
Long black train.
Long black Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you back to our business meeting for December the 12th, 2022. I guess the next meeting will be in January of 2023. So before we actually start this meeting, we do need to certify what we did in closed session. I just wanted to tell everybody here what an honor it has been to have been your chair for the last year. I've learned a lot. And I hope that I haven't disappointed too many people, but I did try my best. So I wish good luck to the next chair, and I'm sure that everybody here will help that next chair to be as successful as they can be. So thank you. And right now, we need to do the certification statement for what we did in closed session.
Whereas the Madison County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia of Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Therefore, be it resolved that the Madison County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, number one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Ms. Patterson, would you call the roll?
I'll second it.
Second. I'm sorry. There you go. I finished like I started. Thank you.
Mrs. Collier,
I certify.
Mr. Myers,
I certify.
Mr. Sheets,
I certify.
Mr. Wingate,
I certify.
Mrs. Allen.
I certify. All right. The next thing on our agenda, we would ask you all to join us for the pledge and also for a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. We hope you'll join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. The next two items are action items. We are going to be approving our personnel items that we discussed in our closed meeting. So could I have a motion to approve the personnel matters as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve personnel matters as presented.
Could I have a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the personnel matters as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. The next item that we have is a motion to release students 12, 13, 14, and 15, and 16 from compulsory attendance for religious exemption. Could I have a motion to release these students?
I'll make a motion to release students 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 from compulsory attendance for religious exemption.
Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we release students 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 from compulsory attendance for religious exemption. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
We just lost board docs, sorry.
Yeah, here we go. All right. Took it a minute, sorry. The next item on our list is our consent agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the December 12th, 2022 consent agenda as presented?
I so move.
Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. That does include school board meeting minutes dated November 14th, 2022, as well as claims for operating expenses, food services, CIP, supplemental appropriation expenses, and the expenditure report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Our next section is recognitions and presentations. The first one is our Senior of the Month. Lee.
As Ms. Wynnum comes forward, we just want to remind everyone that our Senior of the Month program showcases a graduating senior, one each month during the school year, and recognizes them for their academics, their extracurricular activities, and their service to others. Each senior is recognized at the school board meeting, but then they'll be invited to a special recognition banquet at the end of the school year, where they'll have the opportunity to recognize a staff member that's had an impact on their education while they've been in Madison County Public Schools.
Good evening. So for this month, our selected senior is Sean Curtis, and he's up here with me, so I just brought him up when I came. Sean is an outstanding role model for perseverance despite obstacles that would have deferred many others from trying or continuing onward with integrity and passion at times. Sean has exceptional attendance, academic performance, and involvement in school activities. He embraces so many moments inside and outside of the classroom with the utmost school spirit and pride to be a mountaineer. His leadership among peers is evident, and he has a strength for motivating and inspiring his classmates, and this is an essential part of his role as the team captain of the MCHS wrestling team. Last year, a buzz was going through the hallways, classrooms, and eventually it made its way into the front office of students and teachers sharing the newest and trending rap song. News to me, this song was written, arranged, and performed by Sean Curtis for a nervous system project in his psychology class as a junior. The lyrics, paired with an appealing set of beats, created a song about the life of a neuron, and as we played it in the front office, we all were inspired, especially after learning that Sean creates his own music and has worked to buy his own equipment so that he can continue to pursue his dreams. His primary dream, so Sean and I were able to sit down last week, and I always take time to just talk with the seniors who are nominated. And I wrote down this quote that he said, I want to inspire young people like myself, those who want to do things with their life but feel limited because of their environment while also making cool beats and rapping too. This song is only one piece of many talented pieces created by Sean, but one that we were able to become privy to because of its connection with one of his courses. He uses his talents frequently to create songs that relate to his story and obstacles along the way, which helps him cope and navigate life during difficult times. But his main purpose and hope is that these lyrics relate and inspire someone else. Sean has been accepted to Liberty University and plans to attend there to major in commercial music and finance. It's a great honor for me to recognize Sean tonight, and I'm so excited to see what his future holds. If you have a free moment in your schedule, to all the board members, I do encourage you all to come to the high school and visit with Sean. I feel like you will take more from him than you possibly could give to him. He's incredible. I don't think he realizes it, but he's been like a really amazing inspiration to me. He's one of those kids who he speaks to me first in the hallway. Sometimes he'll call me out. Like one day I was walking and he was like, "Good morning, Ms. Winnow," and my mind was going. And I was just like, "I'm so sorry." Like I didn't respond back, and I became one of the kids that I say, "You guys can speak back." So he's amazing, and he has an awesome story to tell. So I would encourage you to connect with him. And I also have emailed all of you guys their Neuron song, but you can't share it because it's not copyrighted. So it's in your email for you guys to listen to. So congratulations to Sean. We're proud of you. We gotta get a picture.
Sean, Sean, I just wanted to say that Ms. Wenham brings Seniors of the Month forward to us to tell us about how wonderful they are. I don't know you, but I think I missed an opportunity to know somebody really great. And I can't speak for all the members of the board. I'm sure they have things to say to you themselves. But thank you for being a good role model for everybody. Thank you for being cheerful and making everybody's day more pleasant at the high school. So again, I might just come in and sit and talk to you for a while because I agree with you, Ms. Wenham. I probably could learn more from him than I would ever be able to help him with. So thank you on behalf of all the students and the board.
Thank you.
Board members, did you?
Thank you for being a Mountaineer. We're proud of you, and keep doing what you want to do. You can do what you want to do in life and be happy.
I appreciate it.
Well, I do know Sean. Taco Tuesdays tomorrow night. Sean is an amazing young man. They don't come much better. No one could deserve it more. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Board members? Our next presentation is my computer's got a little lag on it, so I'm having to wait for it to catch up, either that or I'm behind. I'm not quite sure which it is, but
No, I think it's board docs.
do you think it's board docs?
Yeah, I do.
Thank goodness. Anyway, the next,
We're all a little
we go.
slow up here.
before I was on the board, I used to think that the board members memorized all this stuff, because I'd be sitting out there going, wow, how'd they learn all this stuff? But we read it a lot of time. So the next person that we would like to recognize is our Employee of the Month.
Yes, and our Employee of the Month comes from Waverly Yao. So if Mr. Ricky would like to come forward.
Thank you. It is with great pleasure to recognize Mrs. Rachel Dove as Waverly Yao's Employee of the Month. This is Rachel's first year as a school counselor at Waverly, but her impact on her school during this short time has been nothing short of remarkable. Rachel is caring, hardworking, and dependable. Mrs. Dove has a heart of gold and is always there for any child in need of support. If there's a student who is in crisis, Rachel drops whatever she is doing to be there for that child. She cares deeply about our students' well-being as one of the most genuine people you will ever meet. Consequently, she has already developed wonderful rapport and trust with our students. Mrs. Dove is always willing to roll up her sleeves and step in wherever she is needed. Whether it is a student need, assisting a colleague, or helping administration, if you call Mrs. Dove on the radio, she is always there to lend a helping hand. Rachel has great connections with many resources within the community, as well as knowledge concerning many services to help students and their families. She has both a passion and drive to ensure the aforementioned get the extra help they need, while also not being afraid to have those tough conversations when it comes to students' best interest. Mrs. Dove, you have been a wonderful addition to our Waverly family. It's a great pleasure that we honor you as Waverly Yao's Employee of the Month. I know I speak for everyone when I say thank you so much for all that you do for our school.
Rachel, if you would take a minute, because we wanted to compliment you on a lot of what you bring to the table, too. I know you're a first-year teacher or guidance, And I think your impact, as Mr. Kabricki has said, has already been noticed by a lot of people. We appreciate the commitment, the love you have for children, and your ability to connect with them and always trying to do the right thing with every single one of them. So, and I just happen to know Rachel because she lives next door to me. So I'm glad to have such a wonderful neighbor, and the school system's glad to have such a wonderful employee. So thank you for all you do. Does anybody else want to make a comment to Rachel?
I'll just say congratulations, Rachel, and thanks for coming back to stay a Mountaineer.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I've known Rachel since she was a little child. And she's always been super caring, and caring about what you do matters as much as knowing what to do. And so I'm sure you're going to do much more amazing things for Madison. So thank you for coming home.
Thank you.
I hope you guys can hear me. The next recognition that we have is we have one of our school board members. This is his last meeting. And Damon Myers has been an integral part of the school board from the moment that he joined us, which I believe was in February or March. A lifetime ago. So we did, as a board, want to recognize his support for all of us. On a personal level, I think he has been a great support to each and every individual up here. And as a board member, he's been a team player, and he's really a wonderful man, too. So this is a recognition for his above and beyond, and I'd like to read it to you. Awarded to Damon Myers for your loyal dedication and unwavering commitment to the children of Madison County. Thank you for your outstanding contributions toward our goals and your willingness to serve when it was greatly needed. So congratulations, and thank you, and we really are going to miss Damon. So. Oh, all of this shiny shirt. The next thing on our agenda is a presentation from Waverly Yale Elementary School. I caught up. Waverly Yale staff and members and students will present their Endangered Species Project, which focus on research and public speaking skills.
Hello. I'm just going to give a quick overview. So the third graders, we study lots of life science SOLs at the beginning of our first quarter. And so we let the kids apply that back, and they choose an animal at the very beginning of the year, and then everything we learn from that point forward, they apply back to their endangered species. So you're going to hear from 3 wonderful ladies, and they're going to tell you about the animal that they chose to research and the stuff that they learned during that course of study. And first up is Miss Logan Lamar.
Hi, I'm Logan Lamar, and my my presentation was on the red wolf. My most adaptation was my animal is the red wolf. It has sharp teeth and claws. They hunt in packs. They are nocturnal animals. The food chain for the red wolf is the wolf. The red wolf is a carnivore. The red wolf eats rabbits and like other things it can catch with its pack, and the rabbit eats the grass, which the grass feeds energy from the sun. Ecosystem. The red wolf lives in the forest. It has a terrestrial ecosystem. It digs in the ground. Many plants and animals live there. Why are they endangered? There are only 10 left in the wild. Illegal killing. Coyotes took over their territory. How can we help them stop hunting them? And that's a picture of little red wolf puppies. And that's the end of my presentation.
Hi, this is Miranda Dunn, and she's going to do her presentation on axolotl. So she's going to read to you first, and then she's going to come show you her diorama that she made.
Just pull it down. Grab it and
pull
pull it
down
down.
on it.
There you go.
Hi. My animal is an axolotl. This is an axolotl. Axolotls live in Mexico in Lake Xochimilco. Axolotls are endangered, mostly because of pollution, but invasive species are also part of the problem. Please help to stop pollution. Axolotls are amphibians. Amphibians can breathe in both air and in water, but axolotls can't come out of the water. There are only 50 to 100 left in the wild. The little things on both sides of an axolotl's head are actually the gills. Big fish, birds, raccoons are the main predators of axolotls. Axolotls can be many different colors. Axolotls can be pink, pink and white, yellow, yellow and pink, brown, brown and black, black and more. The wild type of axolotls are mostly dark brown with dark speckles. Axolotls can regrow limbs, legs, tail, but even parts of their brain and lungs, plus parts of their liver and heart.
Anyway, we can. I have never heard of them. Never heard of them. Thank you.
And this is Cadence Miller, and she did the green sea turtle.
The green sea turtles are endangered because of their habitat being destroyed and humans, because the humans are making that their habitat worse and making that their habitat is getting destroyed because they are like hunting them for their shells, and they're building more houses by the coastline. So whenever the green sea turtles lay eggs, they are like they're going, instead of following the moonlight, they're going closer towards where the light of the houses are, and they also are, and also because of the trash in the water and on the beaches, it gets that, and so it ruins, it's trying to get their ecosystem and habitat destroyed. And so, and they are herbivores that, and they eat greens, and and the reason why they're called green sea turtles is because they eat, since they're herbivores, when they eat all the greens, it makes their fat green, and so that's how they come up with the green sea turtle. Their food chain is it's jellyfish to plankton, and then the green sea turtle eats the jellyfish, and the great white shark eats the green sea turtle. Their eyes help to look for predators, and their shell keeps them safe. Their flippers help them to stay away from predators and swim fast, so they get away from predators. They live by where they live. They live more either some places by the Pacific Ocean or either the Atlantic. That's them.
No. Thank you.
Good job. Very good, very good.
Did you memorize all that? Miller.
Well, I must say that I'm very, very impressed with everything that you guys have brought to us to tell us about. The fact that there was so much information, and there were a lot of things I hadn't heard of before, so I learned a lot just by you bringing this to us for your reports. Thank you, parents, for bringing your children to us each and every day, and thank you for bringing them tonight so that we could see how wonderful they are. But congratulations to all of you for doing such a fine job. Thank you, and teachers, thank you, because without you, they would not have the help that they need to be able to shine the way they do. So, thank you, and let's give them another round of applause, please.
Any of the other board members want to comment?
I just think it takes a lot of courage to get up and do that in front of a lot of grown-ups, and so I commend you for your courage.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. Oh, Merry Christmas.
I guess so.
Our next section for our meeting are staff reports, and the first one that we have is our instructional report. And I am sitting here, it did. Dr. Jones will present the instructional report on teacher-staff ratios tonight. So thank you, Dr. Jones.
Sure. Okay, so it is required that each year on or before December 31st, the school board report out the actual pupil-teacher ratio across the school division. So that is what we will do tonight. Next slide. At Madison Primary School in kindergarten, there are 96 students, 5 teachers, which is a ratio of 19.2 students per teacher. In first grade, we have 124 students with 6 teachers, which is a ratio of 20.7 students per teacher. And in second grade, we have 122 students, 6 teachers with a ratio of 20.3 students per teacher. At Waverly, in third grade, we have, I'll let him catch up. We have 108 students with 6 teachers, a ratio of 18:1. And then in fourth grade, we have 112 students, 6 teachers, ratio of 18.7 students per teacher. Fifth grade, 114 students, 6 teachers, a ratio of 19:1. In the middle school, we reported out just a little bit differently by content area and number of sections that are taught in that content area. So in English, there are 19 sections of English taught in the middle school with 376 students enrolled in English for 19.8 ratio. In history, with 380 students across 24 sections, we have a ratio of 15.8 students per. And then in math, 378 students with 21 sections, which it would be 18:1 ratio. And in science, we have 380 students with 19 sections, which is 20:1 ratio. And as you all learned in for the personnel report, we'll be adding a math teacher second semester, so that ratio will come down a little bit in math as we create sections for that new teacher. And then at the high school, the same thing. In English, we have 539 students enrolled in English across 25 sections, which is 21.6 students, 21.6 per teacher. In history, 477 students enrolled across 23 sections, which is a ratio of 20.7. In math, we have 609 students enrolled with 36 sections, which is a ratio of 16.9 students per teacher. And then in science at the high school, we have 488 students enrolled across 25 courses or sections, which is a ratio of 19.5 per teacher. And so that gives you an idea of our numbers, our sections, and our ratio, approximately how many students are in a class in each of our buildings. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Board, do you have any questions for Dr. Jones?
The higher the ratio, Dr. Jones,
sure.
the higher the ratio, is there any correlation between that and the below grade scores?
Not that I'm aware of. I could certainly look into that a little closer, but no, not that I'm aware of. And all of our numbers are fairly similar across grade levels, 18, 19, 20, with I guess the low being middle school history and high school math. So I think they're all pretty comparable.
The reason I asked that question, I have a few minutes to talk about
Sure.
this. So I had emailed Dr. Graham, Mrs. Graham, and the principals of each school because we're having a hard time finding teachers. And so talking with some other individuals and thinking, is there a way to have like a lead teacher over 3 or 4 classes and then have multiple assistants in each class? Because it was brought up in public comment a few meetings back that FaceTime is pretty important. So I was trying to figure out what the cost was, an average cost of what the teachers make per salary, and then assistants to see if we could offset it. But it's not really feasible. And then that made me think about something even more. Last meeting, when Mr. Sharman brought up about the ESSER funds and being used toward improving the grades, and then it really struck me that as much as the school board roof needs a school board building needs a roof, that almost in itself doesn't help increase the scores of the students. So I wish I had recognized that early on and made that, I guess, suggestion that it's nice. I've got bills, and what it's like when you have money coming in that you weren't expecting, like, okay, we can do some stuff that we weren't really thinking of doing before. But I really wish now that I'd focused more on putting that money toward the actual hiring teachers, even if it was for only two years till the ESSER funds ran out, just to throw them in the classroom and get FaceTime and just focus to get that ratio down quite a bit more. I know Mr. Jackson at the Board of Supervisors probably wouldn't like that, because then that puts the burden on the county for doing all these repairs. But ultimately, the buildings are the county's burden. I wish I'd have looked at that differently as far as the ESSER funds go. But I would like to know if there's some way that we can measure and find that data, if there's any correlation between the ratio of students per teacher and if there's grades go down or up, or maybe there is no correlation. Maybe it's just, it is what it is. But
Further comments?
Just had a question about, do you know roughly what the state average is? I mean, I'm sure it's different, but do we know that?
Average ratio.
Per pupil. Are we above, below, on par with?
I've never seen that published. So no, we don't. I think what we're saying is we haven't seen that number. It's an interesting thought for sure.
I mean, we know like our SOQ,
Our
what we're
requirements.
funded for each grade level. So if you were going to go back to like the primary school, please. So for primary school, for kindergarten, we receive funding for 4.64 positions for kindergarten. For first grade, we get funding for 4.18 teachers. For second grade, we receive funding for 4.43 teachers.
That's a steep thing.
Yes.
That is, yeah.
So,
that just
so we
gives you
probably
an
are
idea.
in a line with everybody else generally.
And that's based on our enrollment, what our funding is, so. In larger areas, you'll see class sizes a little higher.
is there a state required
Yep.
minimum?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
what-
24 to
or
1
maximum?
in kindergarten, with
Okay.
no class being larger than 29. In grades 1, 2, and 3, 24 to 1 with no larger than 30. 25 to 1 in 4 through 6 with no larger than 35. And then 24 to 1 in English classes 6 through 12. So there are guidelines, and if you exceed those, they call you.
Okay, so those guidelines are averages. And then you could potentially have a class, maybe a first-year teacher, you give her less students to kind of not overload her, and then another teacher that's been here 10 or 15 years could handle more students. So the average is what they're looking for. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. The next thing on our list for staff reports is special education audit update. And I believe that that will be from our Director of Student Services, Jeanette Alexander.
Smiling at the kids earlier, so I'm hoping to get that same look in your eyes. No, this is pretty quick. The state tasked school divisions with assessing their inclusivity practices around special and general education. So we had to collect some data and then create a few goals around that data. So I'm sharing that with you all this evening. So to begin with, the department chairs, one from each building, and I got together, decided that we would use a staff survey, faculty survey. We also used school profile information that was collected from principals and assistant principals. And the third piece of information was an assessment piece that was written by the state. Basically a checklist of things that go around with inclusive education or inclusion in general. So we compiled that data and came up with 4 goals. We expected, given our previous history with inclusion, that we'd be pretty good. So we found some areas of improvement, which we anticipated because we can always get better, do better. So I'm going to share out those goals with you this evening. So the first goal was to, or is to, ensure that staff and faculty know and understand the vision's vision for students with disabilities, meaning to the greatest extent possible that all students are included in those academic and non-academic educational settings. The second goal, well, and to achieve that, we were hoping to make that next year, starting at the beginning of the year, that we'd make sure we made a big deal at faculty meetings, those first meetings at the beginning of the year, make sure everyone understands that vision, knows that vision, so that the conversations around that vision throughout the year would be more meaningful and people will have a better understanding of what we're doing here in terms of inclusivity. The second goal would be to provide and protect planning time for collaborative teams. We all know how, we just talked about some of the shortages and how they impact students. Well, teachers and assistants, you have your SPED, Gen Ed, and assistants, it's very difficult to get them together to plan for students with disabilities. So we're kind of playing catch up often, which is not ideal, but we do get it done. Those conversations, instead of being meetings, are typically you catch someone in the hallway, get a few minutes here and there when you can. We want to at least give, this is just a generalization because I don't know how we're going to go about this quite yet in each building, but we're hoping to provide special ed teachers at least three uninterrupted planning periods during 1 week. So that's kind of what we're going to shoot for next year. And you're shaking your head, Karen Allen. I see that. Good luck with that one. We also want to make sure that our special education teachers are getting the same PD and provide the same materials that our gen ed teachers are doing. Sometimes when it comes to PD, spec teachers are headed in this direction for that specialized differentiated instruction, and they miss some of the general instruction around reading and writing and math. And then the last goal would be to incentivize and increase competency of our paraprofessionals. They often aren't included in some of the training because of scheduling issues as well, but finding ways to get them some training that is targeted. It'll look a little bit different by building because what primary needs may be different than what the high school or middle or elementary might need. But that's where we're starting to do some of this work, and we're hoping to really dig into it next semester. But we were tasked with creating these goals. I think they're good goals, and I think they show that we have done a lot of good work along the years, and it doesn't hurt to take a look at these practices to see where we are and how we might be able to improve those next year or next semester. And that's all I have for that.
Questions from the board? Comments?
I just wanted Mrs. Alexander to see me smile at her, because I do appreciate everything that you do. I know your plate's full. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. You did. No questions?
I think everybody here on the board understands what a wonderful job you do, as well as your wonderful teachers in the classroom. The reason I was shaking my head, for those of you that might not know, is that an uninterrupted planning time every day is a very difficult thing for a special education teacher to get, because their students need a lot of support. And it's different than a regular teacher that takes their children to art, and then they have their planning period because their children are in art. Sometimes your students need support to be with them all the time. And I admire the teachers that do that, and I would ask you to still keep trying instead of 3 days a week to try to get them some time, because to do your best, you need time to think.
Thank
So,
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next section is public comment. If you would like to speak, please come forward to the podium, state your name and where you're from, and you have 3 minutes to speak to us, and we appreciate your comment. So if anyone would like to speak to us, please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Russell Biber. I live in Brightwood. And public comment, I just wanted to say thank you all for the work that you do, for the stand that you take, and I believe setting an example throughout the Commonwealth and throughout the country is what I'm praying. You're doing a great job, and I want you to know I do appreciate that. And Mrs. Allen, thank you for being willing to be politically incorrect and wishing the folks a Merry Christmas, because I wanted to do the same, to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
I'm Mike Sharman from the Novum area of Madison. We had seen a couple months back the scores for each one of the schools, and it was divided by race. And last month, I was commenting on how that is what we typically might be thinking of as systemic racism. We're labeling people by race and then by score. And the scores for blacks in Madison County were incredibly low. And I've put that up here from those the items that were distributed then. Reading, 24%, math, 14%, and then middle school, 32% reading, math, 18%. Madison County High School, the math was 75%, which is about 70% better than I could do probably. Science 28, history 37. And a while back I had mentioned that in any venture that you're in, you want to look at who is successful and who's your competition. And the competition for public education is homeschool. That's the fastest growing education there is. Who is successful is homeschool. They typically score, they always score, above public school as well as private schools. So I've cited a peer-reviewed study on African-American homeschool parents' motivations, and then their students' their achievements. And you notice their motivations are they want to be able to have high expectations for their children. So even though I've repeated the scores as labeled by race, I would very much encourage you all to wipe that out. Because I think that encourages low expectations, because I don't think black children are any less capable or have any less intellectual capacity than white students. But I do think all races do have expectations that are told to them of what they're told their culture is going to be. And when kids would look up or be told that this is what they're going to be having, that's a problem. And you can see that the homeschool kids, that black kids, do vastly better than the national average. Also wanted to comment on give you some information on Mr. Sheed's proposals on firearms. There is that statute that says nobody can carry, well, I'll just read exactly. No school board may authorize or designate any person to possess a firearm on school property other than those persons expressly authorized by statute. But then I list out a number of the statutes that shows there's scores of people who are, because they need to be law enforcement. Or they need to be a school security officer, which is quite different from the school resource officer. You can hire a school security officer. They can be plainclothes so that the shooter never knows who or where they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment? If not, this will close our session for public comment. Thank you both for your opinions and your insights into the way that you think too. So the next section we have is business information, and it is the budget planning, and I believe that Superintendent Graham and Director of Finance will be giving us an update on the process because we start working on the budget now. So,
Yes, thank you. This is the calendar that we shared with you last month as well. We tend to just share this at the beginning of December, so we just decided to share it a month early last time. But we just wanted to remind you of the dates coming up in between now and our meetings, plural, 2 meetings in January. One is our regular meeting, and then we also have a budget work session. So between now and then, if you want to send myself and Ms. Kropp questions or some data you would like for us to pull up for you, just things that will be helpful for you as we start working through the budget, as well as what you see our goals to be as we work on the budget. So that's kind of the time period that we're in right now. We're in the process of collecting all the budget wants and needs from the different schools and departments in the school division at this time. And I can tell you, peeping at the sheet earlier today, Ms. Kropp and I were noticing it's primarily made up of personnel requests. Any questions?
Board, any questions? All right, thank you. The next section that we have are 2 policies, I believe. 2 policies for approval and also supplemental appropriations. So the first policy, and those of you that have attended regularly know that these policies go through many revisions before they finally go in for approval. And you may have seen bits and pieces and parts, and there may have been some changes. This first policy for sexually explicit content in the library materials was one originally proposed by Mr. Wingate, and there have been a few changes. Mr. Wingate, if you would speak to that, please.
Sure, thank you. Yes, as Ms. Allen says, it's been a long production. This is the final, I think the final draft we're gonna hopefully vote on tonight. Just I wanted to tell people a couple of things, the changes, just so they're understanding it. It is back from a second legal review, and all of their input was incorporated into this, pretty much. Second, this is, Mrs. Allen said it's my start, but there's been a lot of input from everybody, so I thank everybody for that. Changes I made since the last time, based on the last board. Nita, you had asked about the KLB policy. This policy clarifies this is different from the KLB public things, as it's a school board thing. So that's the clarification there for that.
Okay.
Also change accepted a legal review recommendation, have the board vote for removing currently on-hand books. Previously, we talked about the superintendent doing it, but the legal reviews recommended we do it to be more clear, and I think it makes sense. So for on-hand books, this policy says the board will vote, and then the superintendent has some responsibility for working on new acquisitions. I think that's more clear, I think. We made sure that the definition of sexually explicit matches the Code of Virginia exactly. So it's not, some of the complaints are that it's personal opinion or ideology. This is strictly from the Code of Virginia. It's only about sexually explicit stuff. It's not ideology that's different. It doesn't attack it's not targeting any particular ideology or anything like that. It's all about, the only thing it looks at is the definition of sexually explicit, which it comes from the Code of Virginia. Mrs. Allen asked last time about making sure that parents knew they had a role, and so there's a section in there that clarifies that parents have a right to request the school board to take a look at a book for sexually explicit. So that's in there also. It also added a little bit about making sure that it was transparent to parents and taxpayers where the schools are required to post new acquisitions, so that the parents and taxpayers and everybody can know these are the new books coming in, taking a look at them, to make sure that they meet this policy. And then last kind of update is, just want to kind of reiterate it that this is, the parents have a right but also a responsibility to be looking at books. And so that's part of, we talk about parental rights a lot, but it's also a parental responsibility to have a role in this. And so when the books are put online, encourage parents to take a look and let us know if there are issues that they think meet the requirements of this policy so that we can fix that. So all those changes are in there. I think, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's been through a lot of review, and I think it's ready to be voted on tonight. Any questions about it?
Anybody comments, questions? Mr. Myers? The one comment I did want to make as far as the books goes, it was Mr. Wingate's original proposal. As he said, a lot of people had some input that he did consider. But I want to commend him for providing enough information so that the board could speak and has had an opportunity to read through excerpts that I know were very difficult to read through and find, so that we would actually have that information to be able to read it and make decisions for ourselves. And I do want to commend you for that, because that was a lot of work. I know you did make some changes at the last minute, and I'm sure everybody on the board appreciates him providing us with information. So, are we ready to move forward? Could I have a motion to approve policy IIAD, sexually explicit content in the Madison County Public School Library materials?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Could I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we approve policy IIAD, sexually explicit content in the Madison County Public School Library material. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. The next policy that we have for approval tonight is policy BDB, special meetings, and that was one that Mr. Sheeds brought forth in, I think it was October. And again, it's been through a number of revisions and reviews by our lawyer. And so I'll let Mr. Sheeds, there I think were some not last minute changes, but changes since the last time. So Mr. Sheeds?
Yes, the lawyer had a couple more things he wanted to point out. One of which was in the last section of the policy, there was a part that's, it reads, however, unless the members present unanimously agree by motion to amend the agenda to consider additional items of business. That doesn't jive with Robert's Rules of Order. So the reason that was in there is because it was in the previous policy, and it just made sense to me, but since it doesn't jive with Robert's Rules of Order, then we peeled that out. And the other thing he recommended was in, under the special meetings definition, it talks about when a meeting is requested by 3 school board members, one of which may be the school board chair, a special meeting shall be called. When we get to the emergency meeting definition, there was no shall be called. And so his thought was, first of all, it's not consistent with the special meetings definition. And then secondly, it leaves it open for one person to want to call an emergency meeting for an emergency, and then it be vetoed down by the school, by the board chair. So we added shall to that definition. But that's basically it.
Is there any questions?
I just want to clarify, in the board docs, we are eliminating the red line. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I'm reading it right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else, comments? I do have one. Since we're ready to take our vote, I'll be calling for the motion in just a minute. And usually, if needed, we discuss it ahead of time. I will vote on this, but I will vote no, and I wanted to clarify it for everybody here. The reason I will not vote for this is for personal reasons. So I know that's not much of an explanation, but it's the best one I've got. So I just wanted to clarify that for everyone. Could I have a motion to approve policy BDB, special meetings?
I'll make a motion to approve policy BDB.
Could I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we approve policy BDB, special meetings. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. Motion carries. 4 to 1. Do what? Oh, yes, you're right. I guess so.
What I was asking was, can I make a motion to, we did approve the policy for the books. I want to make a motion for, we talked earlier about removing the 25 specific books that we've all had the opportunity to look at. Is that, Anna, can I make a motion to do that now?
Or should we do it at the next one, or? I'm sorry,
No, it's okay.
I don't know.
No.
We'll carry it over to the next one, next month.
Okay. Okay. No, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. I mean, the books are restricted anyway, right? So. Okay. Right. Okay, so we can
So
vote on it. We can vote on it in January. Okay.
Frozen until January, so we'll bring that back up in January. The next thing under business approval is to request approval to ask the county for supplemental appropriation in the amount of $750,000 in ESSER 3 funding. Could I have a motion to approve? Could I have a motion to ask the county for supplemental appropriation?
I'll make a motion to ask the county for a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $750,000 in ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funding.
Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that we ask the county for a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $750,000 in ESSER 3 funding and ESSER 2 funding. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we come to the end of this, end of the year. Reports from school board members and student representative and superintendent. So, Ms. Collier, would you like to start?
Sure. So I attended the VSBA conference in Williamsburg about a month ago, a little over a month ago. It was a great conference. We saw a lot of great speakers. VSBA did a great job. Madison County was awarded an award at VSBA in Excellence in Risk Management, presented to Madison County Schools in honor of your commendable achievements in property casualty less than 5,000 students by VA Corp. So I've been toting this around for a month and a half, 6 weeks, whatever. Because when they presented it to us, I was the only one that had a backpack. So we stuck it in my backpack, and it's been living in my backpack for 5 or 6 weeks. So we were awarded. We're good on our liability, I guess, is we have excellence in our liability, and they were proud of Madison County Public Schools. So there's our award. I'm going to give it to Anna, so Miss Graham, so she can post it in the school board office. And the only other thing I have is we have a break in a week, right? In a week, lead. And so I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I hope everybody has a lovely winter time with their families.
Thank you. Mr. Shoes?
Back to the last meeting, Mrs. Dotson was presenting the outdoor area there. And so I've been in touch with her, and I encourage anyone else to encourage them as much as possible. I let her know if anything she needs help-wise, I'm ready to help. And I would really love it. It'd be an awesome collaboration between Mr. Knight's class and the Waverly to have a chicken coop and pen, and I just think it would be awesome. They could build it on skids where you could drag it out there and you move it around if you need to. But I think it's a neat opportunity. So I am really behind that 100%. I wanted y'all to know. We had a CIP meeting, the Continuous Improvement Project. Every time we have one of these meetings, it is definitely a reminder that no man-made thing lasts very long. So we found out that the boiler in the high school it's behind the high school art room, has been leaking exhaust fumes into the high school art room. That's why they haven't been able to use it. The boiler has failed. It's cracked at the seams. And yeah, it's another $350,000 to have it repaired or replaced. So the stuff just doesn't stop happening. But it's got to be fixed. It is what it is. So just letting people know that. The school board roof repair is underway. It's going to take some time to do the HVAC, the chiller unit at the Waverly, but it'll get done as soon as they can make it happen. Mr. Timmons is proven to be really good help in the maintenance department, so it's been good. Especially when we have the meetings, the information that he has, he's forthcoming. It's good information, thorough, so I appreciate that. And there's a CTE meeting coming up this week that I'm not sure if I'm going to make because of our kids and the Christmas program at Novum, but I think that's all I have.
Mr. Wingate?
Thank you. Just two kind of interesting meetings I had just to think about. And one, I met with Ms. Utz of the Madison Literacy Council, a long conversation with her. It's good. It was interesting and good and had some thought-provoking. And I talked to Mrs. Graham, Ms. Allen about it a little bit. One of the things that she talked about that kind of resonated with me was the importance of sort of face-to-face and interaction with people. And so I want to think about in the new year, in the new budget, really focusing on something Charlie was kind of getting at with different ideas about getting more people in the classroom. And one thing I'm interested in is getting volunteers in there, parents and taxpayers and grandmas and granddads and students. I think that interaction of sitting down face-to-face with a student is powerful and valuable. So I'm interested in thinking about maybe a position as a volunteer coordinator. That's the one person we hire, and then we try to bring a lot of volunteers into the classrooms. I know it's got to be consistent. I know it's got to be planned and all those things, but that's something I'm interested in, thinking about trying to get kind of that face-to-face time to help students learn, just at that young age, to read and do basic math, K through 5th, K through 8th, I don't know. And the second meeting was, I went to the boosters meeting, Madison boosters meeting, because I'm interested in The condition of the locker room down on the football field and the track hasn't changed in the 30 years since I went here, and I think it could use some updates. And so, first I'd say is when you see a Boosters folks, thank them. They do a lot of stuff. I mean, I didn't realize all the things that they did for the school and for the athletes, and it's a lot. And so I thank them for that. I'm just trying to figure out kind of how we can work towards some of those goals, because I think those things do need some updates. And so I'm trying to find ideas. So I welcome ideas on how we can tackle those projects, so that students have lockers down in the football locker room, and the track makes it a little more nice. So anyway, I appreciate ideas for that. I'm going to try to work with the Boosters Club and figure out how we can divvy up some responsibilities to try to make those things better.
Yes, thank you for jogging my memory. So in the CIP meeting, we also were, they let us know, Mr. Timmons let us know that the maintenance crew has been building the lockers down there. So they've been working on that. It slipped my mind. Thank you.
He told me that.
Thank you, sir.
He's doing a good work. Everybody speaks so highly of him, so it sounds like a very good hire. So good work. Thank you.
Mr. Myers?
Well, this is officially my last school board meeting, and it has been a pleasure to have the opportunity to serve Madison County in this fashion. I do think that I do take reassurance in the newly elected board member, Mr. Marks, will do a fine job. And it doesn't even have to take being on the school board to realize how lucky Madison really is. The staff, the teachers, the administration, everybody at the school board office, Kathy and Tina and Liz and Anna are just, they're so helpful, and they're kind, and they're so efficient at their jobs. All of our administrators, Ms. Wenham, Mr. Coiner, Mr. Kubricki, and Ms. Wilson, they care about our students. And like I was telling Rachel Dove, I almost called her Boone, caring about what you do means as much as knowing what to do. And so, I mean, we're in excellent hands. Even Ms. Alexander, who's still sticking around, we have keep smiling. We have our therapeutic foster home, and so we have a lot of kids that come from hard places in our house. And Ms. Alexander has been so helpful with our family, and she makes us work because she's restrained by rules. She made us work for it, but she was always looking for a reason to help us out and a reason to be able to say yes. And so thank you, Jeanette. And I'd like to say, I mean, we have a recent new member in our home that has really made a 180 from not attending school at all to coming every day, and is now a part of cheer. And we had a meeting when she first came, and just like all of the teachers and administration were there to find a way that they could help out, and everybody got on board to help this young girl out. And a special shout out to the earth science teacher, Ms. Gephardt, staying after school, making sure that she's able to understand and grasp material that she had to catch up on because she hasn't been around. And just giving her that chance and that opportunity, it's like a glimmer of hope for this young girl that there is a different way than she's seen before. And that didn't just come from our home. That came from Madison County Public Schools. And so it's just a pleasure to serve such an amazing place.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Mr. Reese?
All right, there we go. I really got to test this before I start, because it always starts awkwardly. A lot of good things going on over at the high school. This week is Christmas Spirit Week, So all throughout the week, there will be Christmas-themed activities, things like that. Today was Pajama Day, so people wore pajamas to school. The rest of the week contains Ugly Sweater Day, Winter Wonderland Day, where everyone's going to wear white, Christmas Costume Day, where you can dress like a movie character, and Friday is Flannel Day. So one thing's for sure, we'll all be staying warm all week, which is definitely going to be necessary. Saturday is I think it's called Winter Wonderland. It's like an event for little kids. They can come and I think it's in the auditorium and it's in the cafeteria where they can take pictures with Santa, write letters to Santa, watch a movie, and do things like decorate cookies. So that's sure to be an awesome time. That's sponsored by the Madison County High School Principals Cabinet. So we encourage you all to come out and check that out on Saturday. Other than that, break coming up. Merry Christmas to everybody and a Happy New Year.
What time does that start?
There we go. All right. Starts at 9:30. I think it goes to 12:30 or 1. But there should be social media posts confirming the time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Graham?
My turn. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Mr. Myers for serving on the school board. That was a big task to take on, but you could hear it in your speech as well. We all saw early on that your heart was in the right place, that you were there for the kids. So we really appreciate you being on the board and all that you've done. The poinsettias here are for you all. These were grown by our FFA, so you get to take them home with you tonight. That's your Christmas gift from the school division, grown by our own. And then I have to always cringe with Ugly Sweater Day because I crossed over where now my closet is rated for my nice Christmas sweaters are considered the ugly Christmas sweaters. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But otherwise, thank you guys and hope everyone has a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. And as for me finishing up, I have a couple of things I want to tell you about. First of all, we had a visitation to the primary school just last week, and it was a lot of fun to see the little ones and all of their artwork in the hallway and Christmas pictures that they had drawn and snowmen. So I think they're ready for a break, but I would commend all the teachers at the primary school because they do such a good job every day. Their personality and love of kids shows with everything that they do. I did also attend the Williamsburg Conference for school board members. I always enjoy going to those because I do think it helps to talk to people from all over the state about the things that they are dealing with and seeing. It makes me feel very lucky to be here in Madison County so that while we may be small, we have smaller problems than a lot of counties do. So I'm very grateful to the people in Madison County for supporting the school board this past year. And the last thing I wanted to say, because I see her sitting there, Charlotte Woods stepped out and did a community service on Saturday by reading at our public library A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and we read the whole thing. And she was all dressed up, and if you want to see the magic of what somebody can do, put a teacher who sits there and you think, wonder how their version of the story is going to go. But she lights up like a Christmas tree, and when she reads to the children, you could have heard there were big children in there because they were all adults, and they were spellbound by the sound of her voice. So thank you for doing that in the county for the community. So I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Very grateful to be in Madison County. We never stopped saying Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you. And